I did a video yesterday about the benefits of being fat adapted as opposed to fueling your workouts with carbohydrates. And I got a question right away in the comment section. He said basically, do a lot more videos on fat, and are you going to be hungry when you're on the steak and eggs diet? And so what I'm going to talk about in this video is how and why I started adding more and more fat into my diet. All right. I never really dieted in my entire life. When I was a kid and the 90s, the early 2000s, I just wanted to lift a lot of weights. So I would do simple movements, power cleans, push press, stiff-legged deadlifts, things like that. And I'd eat a lot, and when I was in the Army, that was okay because I was running, running with a rucksack on my back, doing all kinds of stuff all the time. And when I got out of the Army, I got fat, but who cares because I was big. So I didn't lift weights for years. And then when I first started working out again, the first time I worked out again was I was doing like an amateur MMA event. And for the first time in my life, I had to lose fat. I had to just be in like a weight class. And what I did was I toughed it out. I basically ate carbs before and after I worked out. And other than that, I just ate pure protein. And it worked. I certainly didn't get much stronger on that. I may have lost a little bit of muscle. But, it was a very uncomfortable diet to be on. I was very unpleasant to be around. And, when I stopped fighting, I went ahead and never really dieted. It didn't work out for a while, got fat. And then, since then, it was right before my 40th birthday, I started going on proper diets, okay? Since then, I've been on some kind of a diet, experimenting on myself, with cutting fat and building muscle and stuff. The first time I did that, when I started out with what I call the anaerobics diet, what I basically did was, once again, I just ate carbs in the morning, or before and after I worked out, and the rest of the day was just protein, and I was starving. I would eat and I would be just as hungry as before I ate. So I kind of looked at it and it's like, okay, I'm eating very lean protein. I'm talking like maybe chicken breast or, some kind of milk product like non-fat cottage cheese. There's something in Germany, they call it Quark, which is basically like, cottage cheese, sour cream kind of thing, but it's very low carbs, very low fat. And that's what I would eat. So I'm like, okay, I'm starving. I just ate and I'm still starving. So I'm thinking, great, I'm just eating pure protein. I'm not eating any carbs. So what I did is I was like, fine, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eat a little bit of carbohydrates with every meal. So I would start eating like a chicken breast and an apple. Okay, like a green apple, which is, kind of sour. First of all, I like the way it tastes, but second, it's carbs, but it's like low sugar. That's why it's so sour. It doesn't screw with your insulin level too much. And I was still hungry as hell. So I was like, all right, screw this. Something's going on. Go back to the drawing board. Well, I'm eating pure protein and pure carbs. I'm not eating any fat, all right? Now, this was, like I said, when I first started experimenting with a diet, And what I basically came up with was like, okay, let me go ahead and just add some fat just to keep me satisfied, my hunger satisfied and whatever. So I would start eating some almonds because that's healthy fat, right? And I realized all of a sudden, hey, voila, I was not hungry anymore. So what I did is I ate that while I'd have, every 3 hours I'd eat pure protein, pure carbs, and I'd eat like almonds or whatever to get in some fat. And then I thought to myself, listen, how about if we try the opposite? Before I was eating protein and carbs with no fat. Why don't I try eating, carbs before and after I work out and, just the rest of the day protein with fat, drop the carbohydrates. So I did. I dropped out the apple or banana or whatever I was eating, and I basically just ate chicken breast and almonds, okay? Quark, low non-fat cottage cheese, whatever, and almonds, okay? And hey, all of a sudden I realized I was not getting, hungry anymore, even though I wasn't eating carbohydrates and I still had plenty of energy. So that basically became what I called the anaerobics diet. And it was a great diet. That's the one I used to lose 30 pounds in 4 months. I didn't really build up a lot of muscle, but I was basically just doing, interval training. Okay. It wasn't really meant to, because that was at a point when I saw the movie Ninja Assassin, and I wanted to look ripped and lean like that guy. Okay. So I'm like, fine. It was a great diet, basically 50% protein, 30% fat, for the rest, carbs. And it worked great. Okay. But like I said, I didn't really get strong on it. So afterwards, when I got really ripped, I was like, hey, I want to go ahead and, build up some muscle now without getting fat. And, you got to have a role model. And like I said, when I was getting lean, it was Rain, the Korean pop singer who played the lead role in Ninja Assassin. Well, right now, at that point, Arrow was a big deal. I just come to America, just watched Netflix for the first time in my life, and I'm like, hey, this Arrow guy, he's pretty cool. So I decided to go ahead and try to build up a little bit of muscle while still staying as lean as possible. And that's when I started experimenting with the steak and eggs diet. Okay. And what I discovered was, first of all, I had very sustainable energy, okay, and never got hungry as soon as I adapted my body to eating fat. And for the question, are you going to get hungry on the steak and eggs diet? No, you're not. Okay. You eat basically just fat and protein, okay, a couple times a day. And when you eat, and I say this again and again, when you eat high fat, it like stays with you, okay? It doesn't spike your insulin levels, okay, because of eating, sugar or carbohydrates. So you never get like an energy rush and then like a drop in energy. You never get like this carb coma after you eat. And like I said, you never, get hungry again. It's like everybody says, you eat Chinese food and then an hour later you're hungry again. Well, that's because it's basically carbs, okay? Especially sugar. They put a lot of sugar in the sauces and the stuff you eat, So of course you get like, you eat it and then, as soon as you burn off the sugar, you're starving again. So what I, with the steak and eggs diet where you eat basically just fat and protein, you never get that. Your insulin level stays the same, your energy level stays the same, you never really get hungry. Okay. And another thing that's really interesting talking about fat is when I went on the steak and eggs diet, I got bigger. Okay. People talk about how you can't build muscle without carbohydrates, that to go into a mass building phase, you need, or bulking phase, you need to have carbohydrates. That's not true. Okay. Because the fact of the matter is, when you increase your fat, and I've said it before, I'm saying it again here, increase your fat, increase your cholesterol, increase your saturated fat intake, okay, you are going to increase your testosterone levels, okay? So if you have any problems when you go on like a low fat or a moderate fat or whatever kind of diet, with your libido, with building muscle, building strength, okay, with being hungry. You are not going to have that when you eat high fat, okay? It's like Vince Garanda, the guy who came up with the steak and eggs diet. When he came up with that diet, he himself said he was on it for, I think it was 8-9 months in a row, felt great. Not only did he get as lean as he had ever been in his life, but he also realized he was building muscle at the same time. And like I said, my experience has been that the muscle building comes just because so much fat will spike your T levels, higher testosterone levels, it makes it easier to drop fat and to build up muscle. So that's the answer. That's how I started eating more and more fat. And like I said, I realized if I didn't eat fat, I was always hungry and I had problems with my energy levels. I realized that if I added fat, my energy level stabilized and I wasn't hungry. I realized that if I dropped carbohydrates, I need even more fat, that I could just feel my testosterone levels increasing. And that's, like I said, it's not just a feeling I had. It's also, like I said, my libido increased. Strength gains in the gym, even though I wasn't eating carbs, more energy in the gym, increased size in my muscles, even though I wasn't eating carbs. So, like I said, that's my answer as to, do you get hungry on the steak and eggs diet? And the question of why do I keep adding fat and subtracting carbohydrates from my diet?